Hey guys, so welcome back to another video, and today's video I wanted to briefly discuss about the cycle that I'm going to be running for this contest prep this year. Funny enough, this is actually the first time I've discussed openly my cycle on YouTube. I haven't done this before in the past for two simple reasons. The first reason being the fact that I am not a licensed or qualified professional in pharmaceutical medicines and drugs. So, I have the knowledge there, but the knowledge that I have on these anabolics and many anabolics out there is literally just scratching the surface. There's far more intelligent people out there who study and research and experiment with these these medicines and these drugs day in, day out. So it's like I want to provide the knowledge that I know and help and advice, but I don't always want to be constantly putting this type of content up on my YouTube video for people to be misconstrued that I am a qualified professional in this field when I'm simply not. So practically what I'm trying to say is that if you are seeking professional advice on pharmaceutical medicines and drugs and anabolic steroids, I may have some answers to any questions that you have, but I am not the go-to man for all the in-depth information that you need on side effects and any other aspects when it comes to these kind of chemicals, medicines, drugs, and whatever it is. I shouldn't be the first person to go to, and I don't want that to come across in my YouTube video. So that's why I never went down that route of constantly promoting and discussing anabolics and drugs on my YouTube channel. But at the same time, I wanted to be able to provide some kind of informative information and content for people, but mainly I wanted to be open and honest. I think one of the downsides with this industry is so many people are just lying to other people. I don't know why. There may be good reason behind why they deny that they use anabolics. Nobody will never know. What happens behind closed doors is down to those people behind that door. So we can only just pass comment and judgment, but we will never actually know why they do deny it and why they lie to other people. But I will always want to be truthful and be honest, and I have been honest in the past about the fact that I do use anabolic steroids. I have used them for quite a few years now, probably 2 years, so it really isn't that long. But I just thought I wanted to be honest and run through my cycle that I'm going to be using, just because a lot of people are very interested, and hopefully this video might provide some benefits, some tips, some takeaway notes for you guys to consider, and also consider the main thing, which is the ramifications of venturing down this route of using anabolic steroids. So so hopefully, like I say, this video will be quite helpful at the same time as interesting and entertaining for you guys. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Like I say, I'm going to keep it short and sweet and just discuss what I'm using. One thing as well that I'm not going to do is I'm not going to mention any actual dosages that I'm using for most of the drugs here. One of the reasons why I'm not going to do so is because many people are lazy. The society and the generation that we live in, people don't want to do their own homework. People just want like justification. They want somebody literally just to sit there and say, yes, take all the drugs in the world and you'll look like Ronnie Coleman tomorrow. That's all they want. They don't really want to take in considerations all the consequences, the side effects, how to actually implement these, the dosages, and they don't want to listen to all that. They just want somebody to literally say to them, take all this, take tons of it, and you are going to be absolutely jacked. And as soon as somebody gives them that thumbs up, they won't listen to anybody else. So I'm not going to mention any of my dosages, because I say some people are just going to listen to it and they're going to go, right, well that's what he's taking X amount, so I'm going to do exactly the same. So hopefully by me not mentioning my dosages, that will prevent people from just doing it. But one thing I will make clear is, if you are going to be running any kind of anabolics, always use the least as possible. Always. I've said this in videos before. I've said this on all my other social media platforms. Eke out the most you can from the least as possible to ensure your health markers are always in check. Okay, that's the first thing I'll always say to everybody when it comes to discussing anabolics and using anabolics. So anyway, like I said, let's get straight into it. So first and foremost, before we get into anything else, I think in anybody's cycle, their foundation should always consist of testosterone. Whatever ester you're using is person dependent, but for me, I'm using testosterone ethanoate, but I think it's absolutely, it's mandatory that everybody should have a test ester as their foundation in their cycle. So this is what I'm going to be starting off with. I've got test, and I'm going to be starting off with a very, very high dose of test in the initial phases of my contest prep, and then towards the latter ends, around about 2 weeks out, I'll slowly reduce the dose and then eventually take it out altogether. So that's pretty much it with the test. And then next one, we have the daddy anabolic. So we have Trenbolone. Most people will know about Trenbolone. I like to refer Trenbolone as the devil drug, simply because it brings so many good benefits, but at the same time, in conjunction, it brings so many side effects. So it's one of those ones you have to tread lightly when it comes to using Trenbolone. You have to really, sit there and think, is it going to be worth it? Because there are a ton of benefits that you can gain from using Trenbolone, from fat oxidation and growing muscle, or even sustaining muscle during a dieting phase, and just overall better body composition. But then there can be a load of side effects at the same time, things like high blood pressure, anxiety, insomnia, and even from a mental perspective, you can have aggression, and from an appetite perspective, it could sometimes suppress your appetite at the same time. So like I say, it's about weighing out the options. Do you really want to use it? But also, we have to remember, everybody's different and everybody responds and tolerates things differently. So it's definitely one that is really good, but in all honesty, I wouldn't advise anybody to be using it if it's their first time taking anabolics. I think it's if you've got like 3-4 years experience of anabolics, that's when you could probably start implementing something like Trenbolone. I will chuck Trenbolone in around about 8 to 6 weeks out from my contest prep. I'm also using acetate, which is the fast ester. 2 reasons for that, because just like the test, when I get to the latter ends of the contest prep, I want to take it out. So as it being a fast ester, it enters the system really quickly, and it also leaves the system just as quick. And also, just because, like I said, the side effects that occurs from Trenbolone, if some of them just get too much and I can't handle them, or I don't like it, or it's impacting my performance or my ability to eat food or anything like sleep, recovery, then I'll just take it out. And like I said, because it enters the system really quickly, it will also exit the system just as quick, so any of those side effects will be gone as soon as possible. So that's the Trenbolone. So next up, I have Mastron. Mastron is known as a DHT drug, so it can impact your lipid profiles, which is your cholesterols, HDL and your LDL. So again, that's something that you should consider when you're using something like Mastron. Mastron is also a visual and cosmetic drug, so you reap more benefits out of the Mastron when you're using it towards the latter end of a contest prep. So when body fat percentage is very low, and you're really starting to present your condition, you're getting leaner, you can see some separation, the striations and everything, you can chuck in Mastron and you can really reap out the benefits of getting even more drier and even harder towards the latter ends of a contest prep. So that's why that's going to be going in towards the latter ends, probably around about 8 weeks out. I'll implement that, and then I'll probably keep that in till probably the last 2 weeks, or maybe even I might even keep that in within the last week of my contest prep as well. But that's the funny thing with like cycles and contest preps, that you can predict what you're going to do, but also you have to react in the moment. Things may change as you go through the contest prep, so what you say now, they might change. So a lot of this is a hypothesis, so it's like I'm saying this is what I want to do, but things will change as I go. So that's going to be the case with the Mastron. So moving on to just some of the orals that I've got here. Standard one that most people know is T3. So T3 is your active thyroid. We naturally produce 20 to 25 mcg of T3, This is down-regulated and suppressed during a dieting phase simply because of the restriction of calories. So I will implement T3 25 mcg literally just to re-establish my active thyroid production. I may push that up to 50 mcg, but I would never go any higher than that. Some people go 75, 100 mcg, but if you're going to those areas, you could potentially impact your natural thyroid production. So again, it's something else that you need to consider when it comes to using T3. So I personally wouldn't go anything over 50 mcg, that being the upper limit. If I can get away with it, I'll use 25 mcg throughout the whole contest prep, but the maximum I'll go up to is 50 mcg, and I'll leave it there. Also as well, I have clenbuterol. So clenbuterol at the moment I'm running at 40 mg. I probably will run that for 7 to 10 days, and then I'll up the dose again. These are 40 milligrams per capsule, so after 7 to 10 days I'll up it to 80 mg, and I pretty much just keep upping it to a dose that I can tolerate. I think the max I've ever used is 100 mg in my last contest prep, so probably get to around about 100 mg, and I'll see where I need to go from there. For those people that are in the unknown, Clen, practically it binds to the beta receptors in the fat cells and just helps with fat burning and fat oxidation. So that's pretty much it for Clen. And then last but not least, I have Arimidex just to help with aromatization of estrogen. I'm running 1 milligram per week, and all I'm doing is I'm splitting that. So I'm taking half a tablet on Tuesday and half a tablet on Thursday, and like I say, that is literally just to help with estrogen levels and any aromatization from like the tren and the testosterone. So that is pretty much it for my cycle. I don't think I'm going to be introducing anything else into this cycle. I may towards the latter ends add in something like Winnie or Superdrol, but I'm not quite sure. Again, I will probably know towards the latter ends of the contest prep. If I need it, I'll implement it. If I don't, it simply will just remain out. But these are pretty much the fundamental things that I am going to be using throughout the whole contest prep. Some additional things might be brought in, but that is pretty much it. So like I said, that gives a little rundown of what I'm going to be running for this contest prep. Also, one other thing for those people that did notice, the Novel Rapid Insulin Pen. The only reason why that's here is because I have been using it, but it is going to be taken out this weekend. So today being Friday, I'm probably going to do the last lot today and tomorrow, and then the insulin is out for the rest of the contest prep. But I thought I'd just leave it in there because that is something that I have been using thus far. So that's going to be out as of Sunday. But like I said, hopefully that helped you out, get a better understanding of what I'm using. It might have been entertaining, enjoyable, or beneficial in any way. But let's say it's the first time I've openly discussed my cycle. So yeah, if you guys have any questions about what I'm using or anything about your own stuff, again, like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not licensed or qualified professional in pharmaceutical drugs and medicine. So if you are seeking professional advice, I would go elsewhere. If you want to get in touch with me, I could advise some people to talk to. But if there's any just like general questions that you want me to answer, then drop some questions down below, or message me on my email address. And as always guys, like this video, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers guys.